Welcome to the Flowerlounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to the Flowerlounge, and we are on Moonshine Part 8, and it is now September 1st, 2018. Coming at you here from Phoenix, myself, Katie, and Kristina Wingeier, intuitive astrologer from Northern California.
Central Coast. Shell Beach, baby, Shell Beach.
Okay, so just a quick note before we start. If you have a calendar, like a paper calendar, and it's convenient, jot some notes down in your calendar. On our blog post, we just found it was taking like a ton of time. We're not going to have as much detail. We will have for you up there new and full moon information and rituals and the major planetary movements on it. We just won't have like all the super duper tricked out detail by date. So if you hear something you really want to remember, jot that down. Right, Kristina?
That's right. I love how you called it tricked out detail. I love that. The tricked out detail of the astrology. September. Wow, what a funny summer it was, huh?
Yeah, I am so glad that we are out of Mars retrograde.
I am too. Mars retrograde, in my experience, is the most difficult retrograde to navigate.
I mean, it was lovely and we had some nice Venus moments, but like we couldn't really get things done. Now it's like, let's go.
Let's go. That's totally what September is about too. September has a lot of change and forward momentum and kind of this picking up speed after this slowdown or kind of limbo place that we might have felt yourself being in. A little stuckness is really going to shift this month.
And the eclipses, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the eclipses. I mean, we had 3 eclipses. We had the Mars retrograde and the Mercury retrograde.
And like every other planet was.
And everything was retrograde. It felt so just slow and tortuous, but also like really accelerated. Things were happening on the inner landscapes, but on the outside, it was like, what's really happening? You know, I don't know how it was for you, but
that sums it up.
Yeah. So it's definitely shifted. I mean, we're already shifting at the end of August when Mars does station direct in Capricorn, really just like, and Mars is very happy in Capricorn, and just that the ground under our feet has prepared for us with that direct station. And then as we begin September, we're just going to start to feel things start to click into place. So we're going to go chronologically, y'all. So as Katie said, you can just write things down. The first aspect I want to talk about is actually Wednesday, September 5th. So we're going to have Mercury changing signs for the first time since June 29th. Mercury has been in Leo for 2 months because of that retrograde. So Mercury is a speedy planet when Mercury is not retrograde, and you're going to see Mercury change signs twice this month. Actually, Mercury is moving very, very quickly. So that gives us an idea about how the pacing is going to be, especially around our thought processes and mind kind of understanding. Virgo, Mercury is super happy in Virgo. Exalted, actually. Like,
exalted.
Not only does Mercury rule Virgo, but God is exalted in Virgo. So
Thank God you brought that accent back.
I know. Okay, there it goes. All right. So Mercury's at home, right? Mercury's like, this is the analytical wizardry. Facts and figures, please. But like a real nice ability to get very clear, get very discerning, just kind of cut the fat and just like get to it. And that feels good. That feels really nice. And then the next day on the 6th, Saturn turns direct in Capricorn. Then Saturn went retrograde in April. So that's a big shift in energy as well. Just continuing this like theme of forward movement or momentum and movement together.
More movement.
We got some more movement coming. And so the Saturn retrograde, this is a very large arc with Saturn. Saturn is in Capricorn for some time. It's a 3-year journey, let's just say. And so there are moments when Saturn goes retrograde for a few months, and we get to kind of review the blueprints review the blueprints of the plan or what you're building or what you're doing. That's what we've been doing since April. We've been in a lot of review. And now we've gotten very clear about, how the blueprint, we have no clarity at all, actually. We're recording this the day after the full moon in Pisces, y'all. So you gotta
I love it.
cut us some
Which
slack.
is loading at sea.
We're just floating away. But this is like this ability to really kind of get it organized and focused on what you're building, what you're doing for a bigger project. And again, it's like forward momentum. It's ground under your feet. Things are starting to like not just linger, but actually progress.
Thank God. you know that I signed the close papers and get the keys on the 5th, right?
You do? That's amazing.
It closes on the 5th, and then the seller's going to need a couple days to get out, and they're out by the 7th at midnight.
Oh, they're out by the 7th. That is amazing. Congratulations. That is huge.
Massive.
That is massive. And that took, how long has it been since you first got interested in the property?
I mean, it took almost a year of looking. I found that particular property in April or May.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And I bet a lot was revealed over the summer too.
A ton. Oh my God.
But now you're clear, right? You know exactly what you need to do.
Yep. And I couldn't be more grateful that all these planets are getting back into, oh my God.
Getting their groove on. Yeah. So we're getting our groove on. So this weekend of Friday, September 7th, that weekend, there's potentially a couple of speed bumps coming. So I just want to prepare you for those because speed bumps happen, right? First of all, Friday's got this is September 7th, by the way, 2 kind of big things happening. We have got another grand Earth trine. So what that means is Mercury is stepping into the position that the Sun was in last month and connecting with Saturn and Uranus. So again, we've just got this grounding. We've got the analytical mind coming in to help us figure out the innovative ways that we're building out whatever it is we're building, what we're growing, what we're doing. So this is good for you, right?
Cool.
That's a beautiful aspect. We love these grand trines and we love the earth because we need the earth under our feet after the summer.
I feel like there's a butt coming here.
And we've also got the annual Sun opposition to Neptune.
Okay.
So what that means is whenever planets are in opposition, there's just a little bit of tug of war of energy going on. And we've got the conscious self, the Sun in Virgo, right? Very kind of sober, and reality and very practical and kind of like reality would be a good word just to describe it. And then we've got Neptune in Pisces. You've got the subconscious. They've got the imagination. We've got the dreams. We've got the delusions. We've got weird fears, right? So we've got the kind of conscious versus subconscious and kind of like, what are you going to do with whatever is that you're kind of like looking straight at that you have to deal with? Do you want to escape? Escapism might be something people might want to be doing.
Do drugs,
do alcohol, party on. Or do you want to escape into your meditation practice or escape into nature or, kind of dive into that? World. Yeah, live in a fantasy world, get an avatar, put on your virtual reality glasses and just pretend you're on another planet. So that's just, that can cause a little bit of confusion for people. Sometimes with these Neptune aspects, but it can also be a time of feeling more connected and more in tune with like all that is as well, like that great vast cosmic sea of oneness, right? If you can get into that zone with it as well and kind of get into your dreams and get into your desires and these like creative kind of upswells from the deep unconscious, right? So It's potentially, it can go either way, as with any of the aspects. It can go any way, but it's definitely something to take note of if you feel a little confused. It's also a very dark moon. The new moon is on Sunday, so it's the dark of the moon. There's not a lot of light. It just might feel a little kind of slow, kind of like dreamy, confusing. And then over the weekend, we've got another speed bump when on Saturday, Venus and Mars have a square. So, just maybe a little tension. Venus and Mars, I mean, that's like some, love and action. Like Venus is in Libra, Mars is in Capricorn. So the tension there can just be you and the people you're around aren't quite seeing eye to eye. You got to find a creative solution, a new way through a block, or maybe it might be an old block that you keep running up against with somebody, right? And maybe this Venus in Libra can help you find a new way to have a conversation about it with a more diplomatic feel. So those are the speed bumps. And then
That's not so bad.
That's not so bad, right? Okay. And then we have a new moon in Virgo on Sunday the 9th. And on that same day, Venus is going to enter Scorpio. So those are two shifts. This Virgo moon, it's all about getting organized, right? And especially with like your body and your health. Virgo is very much about health and wellness and kind of getting back into good habits and good patterns with your daily routines. What did we say about, you have the paper with all the juicy ritual information and stuff.
Yeah, we had tune into your body. What messages are you receiving? Make a plan from now until the end of the year, or until holidays.
Until Halloween knocks you off course. And you eat all your children's candy.
Or you lie around to the big belly after Thanksgiving.
Right.
But in any case, before the holidays, make a plan until the end of the year, simplify, purify. What are some gentle ways you can get yourself on path in terms of like, what did we say? Movement, water intake, naturopathic acupuncture appointments, foods, nutrition, and just like a real non-emotional look at where you are and how you want to be and feel, and some really simple ways to get you there.
Exactly. And not to get into the Virgo perfectionism, these like really extreme kind of shifts that throw your body into like stress because it's so intense and so extreme. You don't want to get that way, and you don't want to judge yourself for maybe having fallen off, or maybe, it's, not feeling like you're quite of in optimal health or anything like that. It's time for a tune-up. It's a gentle tune-up. And in fact, all of the major planets are in feminine signs on this new moon. So receptive, so much like softness happening. And I think that this really ties into the beautiful plant ally we have this month.
Oh, yes. So the flower of the month is white columbine. It is an exquisite flower, and it's all about that softness. It's like that feeling when you have been like wrestling with something and you've been struggling and there's something heavy on your shoulders and you just don't like, you feel really torn and like you're carrying all of this all by yourself, and you just like put your head on your grandmother, your godmother, your mother, your soft, warm, fuzzy, feminine figure, and just sort of chill out and relax and feel accepted, and that it's just all going to be okay. And what it does is it creates that from the inside. So it's like a self-support. Like we become our own fairy godmother from the inside, and there's less struggle and wondering and anguish, and we can just relax into the unknown, knowing that we have what we need and that the world has our back.
Oh, that is so perfect. So perfect for this new moon. It's also going to come in handy in the full moon. We'll talk about that a little later.
Okay.
I'm looking at the new moon chart though, and I'm seeing that there's a couple of aspects with this new moon. The new moon is trine or in a flowing aspect with Pluto. So this is going to really help you kind of let drop away the things that are in the way of your kind of optimal well-being without having to like struggle with them so much. To help you to just let go of that and let that part, that habit die, or that like give up that thing and just let it go. As well as a beautiful aspect with Jupiter, which is just going to allow you to help you receive the deeper truth of what you need to release to move forward. So this deep truth coming up, this ability to kind of let it go effortlessly, and all the softness of the feminine energy on this new moon. It's really quite lovely. It feels like such a gift after all the eclipses and that last full moon in Pisces. It just feels pretty chill, all in all. And Venus has moved signs on this day as well. Has moved into Scorpio. And so when she gets into late Libra, earlier in September, actually, she starts to enter her shadow zone, which means these are the degrees that she's going to be retrograding through. So she's already stepping into her retrograde shadow. She goes retrograde on October 5th. And so if you know your natal chart, you look and see where Scorpio and Libra are, and you're going to get an idea of where the Venus retrograde is going to show up, what kind of topics might be activated, or what houses for you, because that's going to be very personal, the Venus retrograde, kind of the most personal of the retrogrades, because so much about love and values and self-worthiness and things like that. So
the retrograde meaning review. So reviewing self-worth and love and all those topics.
Exactly. Yeah. So just kind of getting prepared for that. And I think this beautiful white Columbine is going to help support that as well. Don't you think so?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like drinking an infusion of Venus before she goes away.
She's not going to be gone for too long. She's going to switch skies, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's next month. We've got to come back next month to hear all about Venus. So that's our new moon. And you said the ritual. I'm sorry, I'm kind of spaced out today. Did you say it already? You did.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. And then we are going to, the next thing I wanted to say is that Mars is going to go back into Aquarius on September 10th, on the next day. And so really Mars is starting to move a little faster. It takes the planets a while in their retrograde to kind of catch up. But so this, again, moving progress forward. We're reviewing, going back over the area that Mars was retrograde in. And now, Mars in Aquarius is kind of this aerial view to ascertain the best course of action for moving forward. And so it gives us that opportunity to revisit whatever was coming up for you in the last few months in Mars and Aquarius. And we have an interesting, we've got a 3-part play starting this week. These 3-part plays happen when planets go retrograde. They'll make aspects to the same planet like 3 times. And it's kind of like this first act, second act, third act situation. And we've got something starting with Venus and Uranus. So Venus is going to be opposing Uranus. And this, again, I spoke of oppositions as a little bit of tug of war kind of energy. But what we have here is we have this Uranus, which is this kind of unexpected, sudden change or kind of shocking thing that happens. And then we have Venus, which is, love and money, kind of just wrap her up in 2 words, but love and money. Mm-hmm. So there may just be some kind of turn of events around Venus themes in your life. And I think that this is really going to give a preview of maybe what the Venus retrograde will be about for you this year. It doesn't have to be bad. It's not like, you're going to lose all your money. It just might be that maybe something really good will happen. Maybe you'll get a windfall. Maybe, you'll feel like you made a breakthrough in your relationship and you can finally see things very clearly. You might feel like you're in a big fight with your heart. You might feel like you're feeling like you're not getting that job that you thought you were. Like, it could go any way. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a sudden kind of change. And I do think, again, like offering you a glimpse of maybe some of the stuff that you're going to be navigating during the retrograde. It's very personal, I feel. And Mercury's also opposed Neptune that day. So
wait, hold on.
Yes,
just
ma'am.
to make sure I understand, you're saying this is the beginning of the 3-part series.
Yes.
This is where we get the first sort of feel of that situation, and then
I forgot the other dates, didn't I?
it'll you had said something like it's going to pop back up in October and December.
So what happens is the first time it happens, these 3-part series, the planet Venus is direct. So she's direct, but then she's going to go retrograde in October. So she's going to make that aspect again as she goes retrograde, because Uranus is very slow moving. So Uranus hasn't scooted on ahead. So that second aspect will be while she's retrograde, it'll be a review kind of opportunity because of the retrograde. And that'll be around Halloween. So that's like part 2. And then part 3 will be when Venus is direct again, and that'll be in December. And actually Venus will be in Libra and Uranus will be in Aries. So it will shift the tone of it a little bit. But so it's just kind of like, these aspects happen over time. All aspects happen over time. It's like we have these ideas at these moments, they're exact, and that's the most important part, but there's always a buildup and an unfolding, and then like a kind of unraveling and a letting go. So there's some kind of story for you that's coming up. That's going to be about this kind of some kind of change, some kind of authenticity, right? There's a Uranus aspect always asks you to be authentic. And that means sometimes you have to change, right? To actually align with your truth. And when we work with Venus, a lot of deep personal stuff this can be about, right? Love and self-worth and values and all those kinds of things. So
I love that quote. Uranus always asks you to be authentic.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. So all in all, I believe that all of this is a divine orchestration for our evolution of consciousness. It's just that, we humans are dense beings and we sometimes have a hard time with making these changes. So, and to kind of further it on the Wednesday, the 12th, Mercury is opposing Neptune that day. So that's not super clear-headed thinking. Again, that's a little fuzziness, as well as just a couple of aspects that are just going to make it feel maybe a little moody. It might be a little bit of a moody kind of, moon is in Scorpio, and moody kind of gothy kind of day. Well, our first quarter moon is on Sunday the 16th in Sagittarius. If you do pay attention to those 4 quarter phases. And I'm sorry, I'm actually trying to read my notes and they're kind of a mess.
Messy.
Not very Mercury and Virgo here. Mercury on crack. Okay. Excuse me.
Astrologer jokes. We need a Kazemi. A Kazam.
I need help.
We need to start doing a Southern accent, I think.
I don't know about that. I got a Southern friend. She might be annoyed.
So we're talking about after the...
Did I say something about first quarter moon? I did. Are we going to leave that in?
Yeah, if you want to. First quarter moon is on the 16th, right? It's a Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday's the first quarter moon. See, I had like the dates wrong earlier. Everything was off by a date. So now I'm doubting that I have the right date. That was my problem. I was like,
at least you're on 2018 and not like 1063, right?
Oh, it's 1063. Oh! That was a past life coming forward, clearly. Okay. All right, let's just bop along. Okay, all right, here we go. So, along the same vein of a 3-part story, we have a 3-part story concluding this on Tuesday, September 18th. And this is the 3-part story that was the Mars and Uranus square, Mars and Aquarius, square Uranus and Taurus. So this was an aspect that began in mid-May, when Uranus changed signs and Mars changed signs. And so it accelerated in August,
Oh, wait,
Uh-huh.
what exact date is this happening?
Which part? The first part or the third part?
The Act 3 in September?
The 18th.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
So now I want to know what's going on over there, but I see you taking notes. So hopefully you'll have something like Katie's kind of like going, oh, aha, like there's
Well,
something.
it
Yeah,
would have been something that came up in May and that sort of shifted and changed in August and that will come to resolution in September, right?
exactly. And that happened. You have an exam. You understand what that is for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Fantastic.
And
So
maybe we need to tell them a little bit more about the vibe
yeah,
of
yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure. Um, well, the squares are a tense aspect, right? But the square always has this potential of a dynamic breakthrough, right? So, and Mars is the will, the desire, the drive, the action. Uranus is authenticity. Uranus is change. Uranus is revolution, right? So it's kind of like this last square. And so this is really going to get personal for you if you look at your natal chart and you see Aquarius and Taurus. You can see where it's happening. Where I think that what's going to happen is the dynamic breakthrough, the kind of inventive and creative solution to the problem that you've been kind of gnawing on maybe since mid-May, that's kind of reared its head a few times. There's a solution for it. It's not the same old way. You've got to make that change and be willing to allow yourself to have this kind of dynamic breakthrough and a new thinking, right? A new way of thinking about it and a new way of embodying the knowledge with the Taurus piece. Okay. And if you're not kind of working with it in a productive way, then what it might feel like is a crash and burn, the same old arguments, rebel without a cause, just because you don't know what to do with that energy. It's a very dynamic, activating kind of energy, and it's a closure on something. So that's important to note. And we have these happening all the time. We have another 3-part series closing out at the end of the month that I'll speak to in a moment. And then on Thursday, the 20th, we have another Cazimi. Here's our Cazimi. So
Yay.
this is Mercury Cazimi when Mercury is direct. And when Mercury is retrograde Cazimi, Mercury is moving kind of slowly, but now Mercury is booking and cooking through the skies. So this is that kind of the moment when the sun and Mercury are together. Mercury has the ear of the king. Mercury is in the heart of the sun. And so there really is kind of an insight, a flash of insight. Again, I do think that there's something about, I know the Mercury energy is very analytical, but with the sun in Virgo, we've got this about the body. So maybe this is a flash of insight around that plan that you made earlier at the new moon, where you really are just like, oh, the missing piece or the missing key just kind of comes to you, how to like continue on path in a way that feels like good for you and your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So Cazimi, we got to make a secret, like, I don't know, handshake or code phrase or something, so we can just say Cazimi all the time.
I love that word.
So the Cazimi is happening very late in late degrees because Mercury changes signs the very next day. Mercury moves into Libra. And so this is going to...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, what'd you say?
I'm just jumping ahead.
Oh.
I was like, how's that going to make us feel? But you're just going to tell us, right?
Yes. It's going to make you feel like a diplomat. No, it's just the Mercury in Libra. The Mercury in Virgo helped analyze the situation, and now Mercury in Libra can help you harmony. Yes, harmonize it. Bring some diplomacy. There's another word that I'm trying to think of that I've been trying to think of all day that I can't think of. It's not diplomacy. It's another word along those lines. And I'm really blanking out because clearly Mercury is not in Virgo yet. But we're looking for conversations that everybody's needs are met.
Collaboration.
Cooperation. And what's that? What'd you say?
All the shuns.
Shuns. Don't shun me. But you just gotta watch out for the shadow side of Libra always, which is like what's it called when you people pleasing, making sure can't rock the boat, got to keep peace at all costs, and I'm going to keep my mouth closed because God forbid I say something and it disrupts the harmony, right? So how can we have these conversations where we're trying to stay harmonious? We're trying to there's another word that I can't think of. It's just gone. My brain is clearly, something got taken out of it last night.
Get me to thesaurus it.
No, it's fine, y'all. I just wish I could, maybe if I just like pop out that word, like at the end of the audio though, then we'll just plug it into all the missing places. As Mercury entered Libra though, the other thing that's going to happen is Mercury is going to make an opposition to Chiron and Aries. And I'm just going to start talking about Chiron now because Chiron's going to get it's going to get activated this month quite a bit. And what that means is you might really find yourself needing or wanting to talk about some old pain. So find some support. This might be a time where you're just like kind of conceptualizing or being able to verbalize some kind of pain, some kind of wound. And so find the support that you need to be able to communicate that. And it's probably not your partner. Just saying. It's probably somebody else who's not going to trigger the wound, right? A neutral party. So that's that. And then we have the sun moving into Libra on Saturday. So it's the equinox. And the sun in Libra will also oppose that Chiron and Aries. So again, that Chiron's getting that like, oh, now the light is on it. The light of consciousness, the light of the sun is really showing you very clearly what that wound is, what that old pattern is, what that inner child is needing, right? And equinox is such a beautiful day. Sun in Libra. I mean, Libra is the sign of balance, and this is the day of balance, right? When the light and dark are of equal measure. And so there's just a real, let's pause and take that into ourselves because we are very close to the full moon. It's coming on Monday. So this is really an opportunity to just kind of like, do what you need to do to bring yourself back. If you're starting to spin out, which can happen around the full moon. Diplomacy. Did I say that? Is that all I've been saying?
Yeah. I did thesaurus it though. Poise, artfulness, discretion, expedience, craft, negotiation.
Negotiation's
delicatesse.
Delicatesse. No, negotiation's great. I don't know what my problem is with this word. I thought I just found it. You see, you guys.
I can tell you the opposites: bad manners, impoliteness, and rude.
Just a bad seed, a bad mashi. Okay, so we have the equinox on Saturday.
I got it.
What?
I know what word you're thinking of.
What is it?
Diplomacy.
Shut up. Oh my God, that's it. How did you know? Okay. Alrighty. Where was I? That was Equinox. Saturday. Equinox. Then Sunday, Mercury squares off with Capricorn. So we're reorganizing our priorities. Okay. And at the same time, Mercury trines Mars. So there's that rational dialogue and access to higher mind and insights and diplomacy. Like, we need this help. We're coming on to an Aries full moon this weekend. So any kind of opportunity we have for our higher mind to kick in, for our higher self, for kind of logic and just, not getting so caught up in the inner child that's probably screaming this weekend and being very activated, the better. Any insights we can get from that, from the higher self and from the part of you that knows that you can tend to your own wound. You can reparent yourself, because I feel like this full moon in Aries on the 24th, Monday the 24th, is a little bit tense. It's the harvest moon, which means it's the full moon closest to the equinox. So it's a beautiful moon to see. I believe that means that it's pretty close. Like, seems like it rises kind of golden or orangey or something. What do you think about harvest? Harvesty. Yeah, it's harvesty. But I feel like there's something about the way that it's very close to the equinox and the position of the sun, the earth around the sun right now, that it just makes it kind of rise and glow. So it's beautiful moon to look at. there's a T-square. What does that mean? It means tensions. We got tensions with this full moon in Aries because the moon is conjunct Chiron, right? That little wounded inner wound. And the sun, which is opposed to the moon, is...
Can I stop you?
Yeah, you can stop me.
At this point in time on the full moon, is Chiron in Pisces or back in Aries?
Oh, Chiron's on its way back to Pisces, but Chiron is still in Aries.
Chiron's still in Aries.
I mean, yes, Aries.
And
Conjunct
it's an
the moon.
Aries full moon.
Yes. So
okay.
So Chiron is like 0 degrees, 2 minutes of Aries. The moon is 1 degree, 59 minutes. They're right there with each other. So the moon is lighting up, putting all the light.
Fire.
It's on fire. It's a fire moon, and it's and the Aries archetype, like one of the archetypes for Aries, is the inner child, like the child, me, mine, I, my needs, my pain, right? But the Chiron, it's all about me and my pain. The sun, opposite the moon to create the full moon, is conjunct Mercury and loosely conjunct the asteroid goddess Ceres. So you have the ability to nurture yourself. You have the ability to give yourself what you need. This is where that white columbine is going to come in handy as well, right, Katie?
No kidding. And if you're not in the flower evolution and you don't have access to the white columbine, next best I would recommend is Boundless Wisdom, because that helps soothe old traumas and heal old wounds. It helps create more space so that you can have these flashes of insight about why things happened and why they are the way they are, and have the ability to process in a way that you can see the divine nature of everything and the divine timing and how it all fits together in a way that actually makes sense.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Such divine timing with these beautiful supports, these flowers to help us. You have what you need. And the tension, so that's tense enough with the opposition, but the T-square, what that means is both the sun and the moon, and they're square Saturn, right? So Saturn's like, take responsibility for yourself, right? It's kind of, it feels a little cold, a little harsh, but it's kind of like, no, you can do this. You can
get it together.
You can get it together, right? And Saturn is conjunct a beautiful asteroid named Vesta that's all about the inner flame, like the hearth, the inner hearth. It's like your own, like pull your energy in towards center, right? If you find yourself spinning out, like pull it back in, take responsibility for your own inner child, and give yourself what you need, right? You can do it. So,
and if you're having challenges, we thought of a really cool ritual.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about it. Purification fire and light and smoke nourishment. So you just you're being silly. Okay.
Sorry.
You write down. Oh, giggle fit. Okay. So you write down what's getting under your skin, and you see if there's any connection to your wounded inner child, and then you burn that baby. Burn it. Don't burn down the house, just a piece of paper, and then you can see what feels right for you. Some people may feel like lighting a candle to create that like sense of light in the darkness. Others of you may like to burn incense herbs, like really beautiful fragrant smoke. Both nourish the environment. You can do both. Have a soft light and fragrant, beautiful aromatic smoke that creates the stage for you to be able to soften and let go of impatience and, being hard and stubborn, and just soften so you can be gentle and speak kindly to yourself and breathe into it.
Beautiful. I love that. I love the lighting of the candle also, just because of that inner flame. I mean, when you're lighting it, you could just really visualize that, you are tending to your own inner flame, that you're taking that responsibility seriously and coming from that place of devotion and love. Because to tend to a fire takes devotion, right? And I do feel like that it's about transmuting or transforming the child into the warrior of fierce compassion, because a warrior is another Aries archetype, right? And you'll recognize that you're really only fighting with yourself anyway. So, really powerful full moon, definitely. We've with Mars very close to the South Node as well. So helping you let go of the bad, of the need to react or the wound itself, right? Cutting away bad, negative kind of bad. I hate that word, but just negative tendencies or places where you get bad behavior, stuff from the past though. This is the South Node. So really being able to let go of stuff from the past, of the old wounds, and move forward. So this is a big healing. I think it's quite a powerful full moon coming our way. And was there anything else about the full moon like that I missed on that ritual or anything? We're good to go. You want to talk about the essences at all for this? I mean, this is
I just keep thinking about boundless wisdom.
Just boundless wisdom.
Yeah, because
you probably already did talk about them.
I did, but it's still.
I'm going to spray myself with it right now because I need it.
For the full moon, it would be so helpful because it dissolves frustration, impatience, despair, darkness, attachment, longing, feeling disconnected from your spiritual side. It just eases up all of those spaces. It opens your heart. It helps you be more aware, more awake, mindful, and just get a fresh perspective on everything and realize the synchronicity.
Beautiful. And if you're not able to really get that perspective on Monday when the moon is full, because it is full in the evening, the sun aspect that squares Saturn does go exact on Tuesday. And so it may be in the light of day the next day. You're like, oh, okay, now I get it. You know what I mean? Like you may even need to sleep on it. You can still do your ritual. You may be able to pull yourself out of it, but it might be the next day when that square is exact that you're like, I see it now. I'm not in it so much, but I can see it. And that same day on the 25th, this is when Chiron enters Pisces. So Chiron is in retrograde. And so Chiron's got to go back into Pisces for a little while. And this is...
It was in there for like a gazillion years. And then it went towards Aries. And then how long is it popping back into Pisces for?
It is popping back into Pisces for a few months, but I'm going to look at this ephemeris. There's so many ephemerises. Until February.
Ephemeris is the book that tells you what happens planetarily on each day?
Yes, it's a bunch of code.
Very special symbols. It looks like stocks.
That I can read. I know, it looks like a stock or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, Chiron will be retrograde in Pisces all the way until 2019, until February. Chiron will move back into Aries. So we're going to be, this is like, I think some of the things that are be coming up are around boundaries, and that we talked a lot about when Chiron was in Pisces and how the whole like highly sensitive, empathy, energy vampires, like all of that language became very clear and concretized in the conversation. So I think that is probably the territory that is going to be up for a review or really might be tested, right? Are you really... So like keep your self-care practices and your energetic boundary practices and make sure that you have the support and resources you need, because it gets a little fuzzy in Pisces. That's just the truth of it. It's, the last sign of the zodiac. It's where everything dissolves into oneness. And so that's why the merging happens. And so really wanting to watch your tendency to merge in a way that's not so good for your health and wellness. Does that make sense?
You mean with another person?
Yes, definitely. Or even environments that aren't so good for you, letting in, if you're riding on the public transit and there's a bunch of like really hard, dark energy around you, you don't want to really merge with that. You want to be able to keep your field clean and contained and know where you begin and where you end, right? These are the things that energetic boundaries and empaths or sensitive people, and all of us are getting more and more sensitive. I feel like we just need to take care of ourselves and make sure that we're clearing, grounding, staying connected to ourselves, and not getting lost in the shuffle.
Kerfuffle.
The shuffle kerfuffle.
Muffle.
Do not start with me. Fuffle. Hufflepuff, that's right. I just did a Harry Potter reference. Okay. Did I talk about Mars? No, did I say about Mars on the South Node happened, or I didn't get there yet?
No, you didn't talk about that yet.
So the Chiron moves back to Pisces on this Tuesday, and then Mars makes its third act of the conjunction with the South Node in Aquarius. Okay, the South Node is about the past. This is old stuff, old stories, Aquarius, old ideas. Mm-hmm.
Wait, is this the same thing as the breakthroughs, the square? No.
This is the cutting away. This is the like final, because Mars can be thought of as a sword sometimes, or a scalpel, like a surgeon's knife, okay? Which can be a dangerous thing in the wrong hands, or it can be used with great precision to cut away at something that is no longer useful, to cut something out or take something off. And this is the third time that Mars is conjunct the South Node. Mars is direct again this time. We've gone through the whole retrograde, so you've got a whole bunch of information. Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is very different than Act 3 of the Mars-Uranus square on September 18th. What you're talking about, just to make sure I understand you correctly, is it's more related to the South Node, which is where we came from, which is what we're good at, but we don't want to go backwards.
Right. Or past, just like the past,
So just cutting away from the past, whatever doesn't serve.
Exactly. Especially ideas, stories, mental concepts, because we're in Aquarius. So all these mental constructs, especially the negative ones, the parts about not belonging, right? Mars and Aquarius is kind of like an outsider sometimes energy, or very, the things that make you different are what make you great, and really being able to let go of stories that tell you otherwise. This is the third act in that. And the second act was around that full moon lunar eclipse this summer, right? I'm trying to remember when the first act was. I'm looking over here. The first act was in June. So it was June and then July. That's right. June, July, and September. June 8th, July 20th, September 26th. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So this is, I feel like on the heels of this full moon in Aries, the Chiron situation, I just think it's a really beautiful kind of final pass through. Let it go. It doesn't serve. Let it go. The moon is waning. What's that? Let it go, right? Don't carry it with you anymore. You don't have to carry that. You don't have to carry that past forward.
Put down the bags. Travel lightly.
Travel lightly. So that's a pretty action-packed day, the 25th. And then the 27th, we've got a nice trine between the Sun in Libra and Mars in Aquarius. And I'm calling this interdependent independence, right? There's a way that we can tune in to the Sun in Libra. That's how we're interdependent. And that Mars in Aquarius, that independence, those things are working together. We can get our needs met. And that doesn't mean that you have to,
merge,
or kind of like, it's not like my needs or your needs. It's not an either or. It's a like both and situation. That's why it's the interdependent independence.
Got it.
Kind of energy, which is really lovely. And then on the last day of the month, the 30th, Mr. Pluto is stationing direct.
What does that mean?
Pluto began the retrograde in April at 21 degrees Capricorn and is stationing direct at 18 degrees Capricorn. That gives you an idea of how slowly Pluto moves, right? It's been how many months? And he's moved, 3-4 degrees? It's like there's been Pluto is about death and rebirth and underworld journeys and transformation, okay? There's been some area in your life that has been in kind of like lots of stuff's been bubbling up from the surface. You've been in the process of kind of navigating and doing some deep healing and transformation. And that it's not like you're necessarily done healing or transforming in your life, but there's a closing of a chapter and a moving forward. You don't need to dig into that one anymore, right? You can just take what you've learned, take it forward and begin to, the compost that has been created is like, that's where the seed of action is coming from. Like there's some change in direction. It's more forward momentum for us this month. And it's nice. I feel like it's a kind of an interesting timing with all the Chiron and that full moon, just to kind of have, like, we've cut away with that Mars on the South Node. And it's like, okay, we're done with this chapter. Let's close the book and let's move forward. It feels kind of like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Those are Kristina's choice aspects for September 2018. There's always many more things going on. These are enough to keep you occupied, I'd say. And pay attention to the moon, of course, and that will help you kind of navigate the ups and downs. Can I mention something that I'm offering about the moon?
Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
I'm teaching a lunar astrology masterclass on September 5th.
Oh, fun.
And this is going to help you understand the moon in astrology, really basic stuff about the signs and the houses, and how to start a lunar astrology practice, which is tracking the moon's movements through your own natal chart. So you'll really start to understand the warp and weave of your emotional landscape, as well as the mood of the collective. Because when you know the moon, you know what phase she's in, you know what sign she's in, you know how she's aspecting your natal chart. You have so much information that's going to help you have more compassion and more resilience for all of the crazy ups and downs that happen in life. So come to my class. It's going to be fun. It'll be recorded for those.
Just a one-day class?
Yeah, it's just a master class. And then I'm doing something called Lunar Astrology Transmissions for the new moon in Virgo. Every couple of days, you'll get an audio from me talking about the actual aspects the moon is making, the moon's movements, to help you really integrate your practice, get you some guidance for a lunar astrology practice. It has taught me so much. It's how I really learned my natal chart inside and out, was by following the moon around and around and around, and just seeing kind of the superpower and the kryptonite in my chart. So,
wow, that's so interesting. You've been really busy. Got lots of stuff going on.
Doesn't feel like it, but maybe.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
So yeah, so go to, if you want more information about those master classes, go to, you can find Kristina Wingeier on Instagram. Otherwise, your website
.com.
is the .com.
.com, baby.
.com.
Yes.
And yeah, looking forward to next month. Will be released on October 1st. We are now releasing the Moonshine episodes on the 1st of every month, so you can know what's happening chronologically. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. Did we give them a theme this month? Did we even talk about themes?
Yeah, forward momentum and picking up speed after a summer season slowdown of eclipses and retrogrades.
There we go.
We're cooking.
We're cooking.
I feel it.
It's happening.
I love
momentum. Yes, it's time, right? It's actually, it's a lot of and a lot of change this month, right? You could hear that, and all the different planets changing directions and changing signs, and
seasons changing. It's going to match the temperatures getting cooler, and
yes,
it'll match up nicely with what we're feeling on the outside.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Awesome.
All right. Thanks again for listening to the Moonshine on the Flowerlounge.
Bye.
Thank you again for listening to the Flowerlounge podcast. I wanted to share that we only have a few spots left for our retreat in Costa Rica. If you've been working hard all summer, or you just need some time away to rest and rejuvenate and dive into the vastness of yourself, from November 10th to the 17th, we have an amazing retreat coming up in Costa Rica. It will be very intimate, and I'm very excited because I just invited Robin Sandomierski. She'll be doing one-on-one luminary intuitive sessions with each person, as well as Erin Borbet, who's a licensed acupuncturist, and she'll be offering one-on-one acupuncture sessions with each person who comes to the retreat, as well as all the other goodies like walking distance to the most amazing beach and sunset gazing, tide pool meditations, nightly rituals and ceremonies, morning meditations, a day of silence, and all kinds of other amazing things. If you're interested in more information about the retreat, you can check it out at earthaura.com and look for the section about Costa Rica retreats. And also, if you get any value out of listening to this podcast, I hope you get something from each episode that is an insight or something you can immediately put into action to your life. We are just about to get handed the keys for our commercial building, and we're so excited. It is going to be huge, and that is coming up in 2 weeks. So we sure do appreciate your support. If there's something that you are looking at on our website, I encourage you to go take the quiz to figure out where to start and which elixir to take first. Your support is so valuable to us, and we really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to the Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.